Today, I want to talk to you about a new initiative that we have started, and that program is titled Pathway 5. You owe it to yourself to take the time to understand more about Pathway 5 because this platform is uniquely designed to really help you to understand money and how money works. And I'm going to spend some time going into this program today. Now, Pathway 5 is what's going to help you to really understand what is the science, the theory, and the practice of wealth creation. So, Pathway 5 is a unique platform that has been set up to help you to understand a number of essential pathways to position yourself to build wealth. Now, what I will do, I will just spend some time just going through some of the pathways to help you to better understand the significance of this initiative. Yeah, to understand the significance of this initiative. Now, Pathway 5 begins by helping you to understand Pathway 1. And Pathway 1, we look at the theory, the science, and the practice of preparation. It is actually saying is that you want to attain success, but how prepared are you for success? All right. You want to be successful, but how prepared are you for success? And what does success looks like? Now, when you look on screen, you are now exposed to Pathway 5. But I want to go deep into Pathway 1 of Pathway 5. And that's to talk a little bit about the whole concept of preparation. Now, one of the things that you will be introduced to as you get into this program is we talk about pathway to big ticket thinking. All right, pathway to big ticket thinking. And you want to put yourself in this position of strength to truly understand what is the pathway to big ticket thinking. Now, let's try to put a face to this. In the context of Pathway 5, what we are saying to position yourself to be a big ticket thinker, it is necessary for you to understand capital markets. Because whether you are starting a business or scaling a business, or you're attempting to position yourself to build wealth, an understanding of financial intelligence is going to play a significant role in that process. So Pathway 5, at the very beginning of this program, Pathway 1, we take you on a journey to help you to understand capital markets. Now, to understand capital market, it means that you have an understanding of how debt instruments works. It means that you have an understanding in how equity instrument works. It means that you have an understanding of how credit capital works. And because you understand, you're now in that position of strength to understand how these financial instrument works. It makes you more prepared to position yourself for success in business or in life or in wealth creation. It is this knowledge that sets you up for success. But Pathway 1 has it emphasizes the importance of understanding capital market. It moves one step further, where it begins to help you to understand that it's not only important to understand financial instruments, it's equally important to position yourself to understand how to access financial instruments. So it's about understanding that the instrument exists, and it is equally important to also understand how to access capital. Because again, whether you have an existing business and you want to scale that business, or you are a rising star in business, now getting into business, understanding financial instruments, it is vital to set you up for success. So let me talk about this a little bit. From the research, what we are seeing is that many businesses start and fail. And one of the reasons why you start and fail is largely because you are not able to access the much needed capital to take your vision to the next level. So what that is actually saying, when you're struggling to access capital, it means that you are not fully prepared to do business. You're not fully prepared to position yourself to build wealth. And you owe it to yourself to be prepared to position yourself to achieve the business strategic objective. Now, since we are on the topic of capital markets, I will share with you some of what we can do to help you through this process. But I'll talk to you about that shortly. So, as you focus on the importance of being prepared for success, understanding capital markets, knowing how to access financial instruments is vital. The next stage is also putting yourself in the position of strength to be able to leverage capital the smart way. Of course, one of the things that we see is that many persons attempt to leverage capital, and largely because they are somewhat ill prepared, they leverage capital and it becomes a liability instead of an asset. So pathway 5, again, is what is going to set you up with the kind of information so you know exactly the practical steps to take to leverage capital in a way that makes sense. You will understand the science of capital leverage. That's understanding all the historical data. You will understand the theory of leveraging capital in the right way. And you will also be positioned to apply some practical tools to achieve the end results. And that's how important pathway is in terms of helping you to really understand how to position yourself to build wealth. Now, let me talk a little bit about why we are embarking on this exercise, why we have built this thesis. We have built this thesis also because of the fact that we are seeing many persons, millions of people, billions of people across the world, many of whom are academic. You're working paycheck to paycheck. You have big dreams and hopes and aspirations, but because the concept of financial intelligence, you're not fully familiar with the terms in terms of how you leverage this content of information to your advantage, you struggle financially. So pathway 5 is set up to give you the kind of information to ensure that you're able to make better business decision and better life decision. So it's an important platform to really help you to navigate the world of finance. The fourth concept that you will take away in pathway 1 is the concept that we refer to as capital mitigation. Now, very often we talk about this. You take a debt, but then you don't fully understand how to mitigate capital. By mitigating capital, what exactly are we talking about? What am I talking about? I'm talking about because you have this body of knowledge, you understand how to manage your debt life cycle. And because you're able to manage the debt life cycle, several things happen. You're able to reduce the cost of capital. And the ability to reduce the cost of capital simply means that you can save thousands, hundreds of thousands, possibly millions of dollars on your debt portfolio. And this is what Pathway 5 is going to do for you. It's going to set you up to really understand money and how money works and how to leverage this intelligence to your advantage. Some of the things that we are likely to go into as we go into Pathway 5, when we are looking at Pathway 1, the science, theory, and practice of preparation, you will also learn things about what is the amortization schedule. You see, buying a debt, you want to first of all ensure that you are fully prepared to manage that debt. And to manage that debt, the entire ecosystem in which I refer to as now is vitally important. So I trust that you have some nugget. Today, what I'm doing is a high-level overview of Pathway 5. And I do believe that you owe it to yourself to learn as much as you can learn about Pathway 5. Now, in the event that you need to learn more about this program, I encourage you to connect with us using the numbers on screen. And we will be so happy to interface with you and ensure that we can expand this body of knowledge to you so you can now use it to your advantage. Now, for the listeners who are in business and you perhaps may be asking yourself, yes, you're in business and you need to access capital to grow and scale your brand. And you're asking yourself, how can I do this? Well, of course, when we are talking here, we're not just talking from the theoretical standpoint, we are talking from the practical standpoint. So I want to provide you with some practical information that you can now use to position yourself to access capital. Again, when you come into Pathway 5, these are all access points that we will make available to you. So there's a website that is being shown on your screen, and all you need to do is to type in pitchdeck-101.com, and you will get access to this website. Now, the importance of getting access to this website, I now want to tell you a little bit in terms of how to access capital. Now, when you go to the website, what you need to do is to go to more, and in the drop down, you will see what we do. Now, when you click on what we do and you scroll down, you will see referral partners, referral links. So what I want you to do as you scroll down, you can press on one of our partners, which is MB Capital. Now, when you press on MB Capital, you will see a link here that you can pull out. You put in your name, company name, and the other details here. Now, as you can see, our partner are busy at work because today they have allocated over 140 million US dollars to business just like you. All right. And the beauty of working with us, as you learn more about capital market, financial instruments, we will also be talking to you about how you can access business funding at 0% APR. What do I mean by 0% APR? It means that you can access capital at zero interest rate. For what period? You can access this for 6 months, 12 months, or 24 months. And these are just some of the things that you will learn. All of this is what you will learn when you get into the Pathway 5 initiative. All right. So, as I said, this is not just the theory we are talking about here. On this platform, Pathway 5 in particular, we are looking at the science, we are looking at the theory, and we are looking at the practice. And in this context, we're talking about how prepare are you for success. So with this program, you don't have to start the business and try to scale the business without knowing how to access capital, because this program in of itself is going to set you up to understand all that you need to understand so you can position yourself for financial greatness. So those are just some information that I want you to take away here today. But I want to push on to advance the conversation a little bit more, because I really want you to begin to understand Pathway 5 and what this program is all about. Now, as we go deeper into pathway 5, when we look at preparing you for success, one of the concepts that we talk about is the pathway of becoming a subject matter expert. So you want to be successful, but are you prepared? One of the things that you want to do when you want to be prepared for success is to position yourself to be a subject matter expert. This means that you're investing time, talent, and resources to master your craft, to master who you are. Now, what exactly does this look like? It means that you can position yourself to be an influencer. And in recent times, we have been talking a lot about the significant role that social media influencers plays in helping businesses to build relationship with the ideal clients, helping businesses to become visible, businesses to achieve all of this. So again, as we're talking here now about pathway 5 and you becoming a subject expert, you can the significant role that an influencer can play tremendous. So pathway 5, pathway 1 of pathway 5, we go deep into this to really help you to understand why you should become a subject matter expert. That in of itself, we refer to that as an MVO, which is your minimum or most valuable offer. We'll talk to that some more in a while. Now, in positioning yourself as a subject matter expert, perhaps you can also position yourself to learn, apply, and master tools relating to the SCP. Now, what is the SCP? The SCP is Sales Communication Professional. And every business should embrace the SCP. Why? Because the SCP is what's going to help you to collect sensitive data. Sensitive data that is designed to influence your business success. The SCP is going to help to be only collecting sensitive data, but analyzing. I mean by analyzing sensitive data. You see, in starting a scale in a business, I would always emphasize you're not doing business for you. You are doing business because you intend to provide a product or a service, and that product or service must be aligned to the needs, wants, and expectations of the ideal client. But if you're not collecting sensitive information of the ideal client, you don't know if your value offer is relevant to that ideal client. So when you become an SCP, a sales communication professional, you understand this. When you apply this body of knowledge to grow and scale a business, that business is better set up to achieve its objective, because you're not doing business now with that blindfold over your eyes. You're doing business based on data. And of course, what we are seeing is that many businesses fail because you don't have the data. Pathway 5, as we look into pathway 1 and you being prepared for success, we'll go deep into this so you have this body of knowledge. So as you position yourself to build wealth, we have looked at two concepts so far. One, we have looked at the pathway to big ticket thinking, and we went through financial markets in this regard. Second, we have looked at pathway to becoming a subject matter expert. You want to invest in yourself. Third, I'm going to talk about the pathway of asset accumulation. And this is where you are having value that people value. You see, one of the fastest ways to position yourself to build wealth is to invest in asset accumulation. And I will expand on this in a little while. You see, with asset accumulation, you now have performing assets. And performing assets, they have a tremendous advantage. And let me explain. When you leverage your skill sets as a means to generate income, it means that you're trading your time for money. And because you're trading time for money, you're only able to earn based on the time that you have available to you. So if you trade 6 hours or 12 hours, you will be paid based on the time you have allocated to generate income. But you see, when you have asset accumulation and your leveraging asset has income producing asset, guess what? The asset doesn't necessarily have a start time or end time or a knock-off time. Let's put it that way. When you invest in the right income producing assets, it can be set up to generate income every day, all through the night. And guess what happens here? You're now well set to make cash flow when you sleep. So Pathway 5 is going to go deep into this body of knowledge so you truly understand how the wealthy think and the tools that the wealthy apply to position themselves to build wealth. But I want to emphasize something here on the third to fourth pathway. So we talked so far about the pathway to big ticket thinking. We talk about the pathway to subject matter expertise. We talk about the pathway to asset accumulation, and I'm talking here in a high level. The next concept that I want to talk about here is what we call the pathway to stress test your MVO. By MVO, I mean stress testing your minimum viable offer or your most viable offer. How do you know that your skill set makes a whole lot of sense? Many of you would have heard me say many times that we need to make academic make sense. Now, academic may be very good in the context of the body of knowledge in which it's transferred, but in spite of the fact that the body of knowledge may be good in some contexts, we are still seeing that many academics, you work in paycheck to paycheck. So in terms of enhancing the individual potential to cash flow optimize, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense in this respect. What Pathway 5 does, it does a full examination of the skill sets. So when we talk about the pathway to stress test your MVO, what we are asking you, there's several things that you need to consider when we are stress testing your skill set. So whether you're going to be positioning yourself to be a subject matter expert, that needs to be stress test. Or whether you are positioning yourself to acquire assets, that too needs to be stress test. But what exactly does stress test looks like? Let's talk about this. It means that your minimum or most viable offer must be relevant to the ideal client. Again, you can't speculate and know this. You need to have the solid information that is going to help you to make better, smarter business and life decisions. You need to collect the data. You need to analyze the data. You need to leverage and mitigate the data, which some of which I spoke about early on. Stress testing. You need to be certain that your MVO, minimum or most viable offer, is relevant to the ideal client. So now that you have established relevant of the MVO, you want to go one step further. You want to be certain that your MVO makes sense, it's viable. So, and here is where the cash flow optimization comes into picture. How do you know that your minimum viable offer is going to be viable? How do you know that your academic pursuit is going to be viable? Stress test it. In this context, how can we stress test your expertise? How can we stress test asset accumulation. In this context, what we are saying is that you need to assess market viability. And there's a number of things that you can do when you want to assess the market viability. And let me go through this to help you to get a better understanding as to how this concept can be applied. To assess market viability, you need to understand your market size. Yes, you need to understand your market size. By understanding your market size, it tells you that these are the potential consumers that exist in the market to consume the product. So you have to go deep into this analysis to understand this. Of course, as you do the analysis, you want to understand elements of competition that exist. You want to apply the SWOT analysis. All right, because there are many players that might be playing in your field. If you're lucky enough, you may find a niche. So as you get into the market to do the stress test, you want to see who are your competition, and then you apply what we call the SWOT analysis to this. And what applying the SWOT analysis means, it means that you are measuring your MVO against what is offered in the market, and you're looking for strengths and weaknesses, and you're looking for opportunities and threats. Now, as you look for opportunities, perhaps here is where you're going to see a niche, because as you do the stress test, it might be showing you that you have quite a number of persons who have heavy demand for your MVO. So because now you have this data, it is telling you that if you invest time, talent, and resources into innovating products and services and providing products and services to the ideal client based on what the data is saying, you stand an excellent chance to position yourself to achieve the business objective. The business objective may be to add value and fix problems and to deliver quality above and beyond the expectations of the ideal client. You can achieve this because you're using data to guide your decision-making process. Along with this, you can cash flow optimize because of the fact you're really understanding the viability of the market. So it needs to be stress test. You see, to be successful in business or in life, or to be successful in your academic pursuit, you need to remove that blindfold from across your eyes, and you need to go deep into the belly of analysis. That's going to help you to make better, smarter business and life decisions. We call it stress test. So pathway 5, and I'm still at pathway 1. So there's a lot of information to unpack. We are presenting this thesis because we really have done this research. We've done the analysis, and we really want to position people to prosper moving forward. Now, I must also say that this program is going to be rolled out under the Science of Success University. So there's a lot of information that we're going to be presenting to you over a period of time. So I want to encourage you to stick with us. Remember, what I also want to pause a little bit and say is that I want to thank over 40,000 persons who have subscribed to our platform over the last 4 months. Thanks to the depths of my heart for supporting this platform. To get 40,000 persons to buy in and support the platform is a major accomplishment. But I want to say this, we are seeing also that 70% of the person who are viewing this program, you have not yet subscribed to the program. Perhaps you forget to press that subscription button. But what I want to say is that once you're looking at this program and you find it interesting, I want to encourage you to press that subscription button. It's free. So you will be the first to know when we are bringing these content on air just for you. Now, let's get back to pathway to stress test your MVO. Stress testing is important. So don't start a business and it's an emotional decision. All right? Let it be an emotional, intelligent decision. All right? Very often you start a process, but it's all emotion and there's no intelligence. And that's not what you want. When you take the intelligence out of the emotion, you set yourself up for failure. You set yourself up to be hurt. You set yourself up to lose investment capital, and that's not something that you want to do. Pathway 5 is going to help you to master the art and the tools of proactive leadership. And proactive leaders, they stand out. Why? Because they stand on three important characteristics. One, they think ahead, they see beyond problems, and they take informed action to achieve desired results. Pathway 5 will set you up with the tools to understand how to apply this to your business and to your life. So you're better able to stress test the pathway that you're using to position yourself to build wealth. In this context, we're talking a lot about wealth building. So let me expand just a little bit more on the stress test. So now that you know your products and services is relevant to the ID client, now that you know the market is viable, based on market size, based on doing your SWOT analysis, you have come to the conclusion based on data that it makes sense. Do we need to go further in this stress test? Yes, we need to. We talk a lot about also market accessibility. One of the things that we see is that you may have a very good product, a very good service, but do you have access to the market? In most cases, some people are very much challenged to get access to the market. Pathway 5 helps you to understand all of this and help you to identify pathways to achieve the objective. So it's necessary for you to understand market access, because it doesn't make sense to have a product that is relevant, to have a product either that is viable, but then you move ahead and you produce, and then you recognize you don't have access to the market. All right, perhaps because you don't properly understand the market realities. So we talk a lot about the PES analysis. The reason you do the SWOT analysis, I'm going to come to PES just now, is because you want to understand strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threat. But there's another analysis that you need to do, which we call the PES analysis. And what is the PES analysis? It means that you understand political realities, economic systems. These things can affect how you do business. You need to understand economic realities and social systems. You need to understand technological realities and how these things are likely to affect you. So when you come into Pathway 5, we will go deeper into this so as to ensure that you understand how to apply these tools as you stress test the viability of your project, of your process. To predetermine the potential of your ideas, your concept, your thesis to build wealth. Now, as you stress test, you also want to be certain that your MVO, meaning your minimum and most viable offer, is reaching an urgent and immediate need. And I talk about this quite frequently. What if you innovate a product? What if you innovate a service, only to recognize that there's no urgency and no immediacy for that product or service? But guess what? You want a cash flow like yesterday. Because of the fact that you didn't do a proper stress test and you did not take the time to assess whether your MVO offer is reaching an urgent and immediate need, guess what happened? You're not reaching an urgent need. You're not reaching an immediate need. So because of this, you're not really able to cash flow the business like yesterday. The stress test helps you to understand all of this so you're able to make better, smarter business and life decisions. The reason you're going to fail is because you're not stress testing the ought to be stress tested, and 5 is going to set you up to understand all of this. All right, so let's go to one more concept as we look at the stress test. So you want business to make sense. You want your efforts to position yourself to build wealth. And how do you know this? Stress test. The next concept that you look at when we talk about stress test, you want to establish very clearly if the ideal client have the ability and the willingness to invest in your products and services. Because here it is. Your product may be relevant, the client may be accessible, you may be reaching an urgent and immediate to pay. So what happens there? You made an emotional decision. You take the intelligence out of the emotion. So you want to make an emotional, intelligent decision, not just an emotional decision. And again, pathway 5 really sets you up to make better, smarter business and life decision. I want to go a little bit deep in concept. We are still looking at pathway 1. It has 7 pathways that you need to understand. And this pathway, I want us to talk a bit about pathway to give value, people value. How do you know that you're giving value that people value? How do you know this? As you get yourself prepared for success, prepare yourself to build wealth. For you to be successful, you must set yourself up to have a clear mental picture if you're given value that people value. And one way of establishing this, again, I'm going to re-emphasize this, you need to be market-oriented. What does being market-oriented means? You need to be market-sensitive. What does being market-sensitive means? You need to be market-responsive. What does being market-responsive means? Again, from the research, what we are seeing is that most people are market-responsive long before you're market-oriented and market-sensitive. So you're responded to based on an assumption. You're not responding based on data. And again, another recipe to set yourself up for failure. So you want to ensure that as you prepare for success, prepare to build wealth, and the pathway 5 will help you to understand a smart, better way of doing this. You will understand how to deploy the concept of market orientation, the concept of market sensitivity, and the concept of market responsiveness to the whole ecosystem of positioning yourself to build wealth. Let me break this down just a little bit. When we talk about being market oriented, what am I talking about? It means that you understand the ideal client. It means that you understand their pain point. It means that you understand their needs, wants, and expectations. You understand their dreams and their hopes and their aspirations. Why? Because you are collecting sensitive data. And because you're collecting sensitive data about the ideal client, you're analyzing sensitive data about the ideal client, it makes you more sensitive to their needs. And because you are now more sensitive to the needs, wants, and expectations of the ideal client, you're now in a better position of strength to innovate products and services that lives up to their expectation and possibly exceed their expectations. How prepared are you for success? To be prepared, to position yourself to build wealth, it is necessary that you have this body of knowledge and be able to deploy this body of knowledge in the most effective way. So when you're market oriented, you understand the ideal client, you're market sensitive, you're able now to innovate products and services that reaches the expectation and possibly exceed the needs and wants and expectations of the ideal client. You now can be responsive to the market because you have all the data to inform your business development processes. You're not responding and then you're trying to get sensitive and then you're trying to get market oriented. Pathway 5 really helps you to understand how to prepare yourself for success. So it's a very unique platform that I encourage each and every one of you to take some time out to learn more about what we do. We'll talk some more about the Science of Success University. We'll talk a whole lot more about Pathway to Five so as to ensure that moving forward, you can make better, smarter business and life decisions. Now, today, as I said, I'm giving a high-level overview of Pathway 5, and you owe it to yourself to learn more about Pathway 5. It's an exceptional platform of learning. Now, there's one more concept that I want to share with you about Pathway 5. And what is that next concept that I want to share? I want to talk about Pathway in terms of strategies, in terms of tools, in terms of processes, in terms of systems. Now, I know very often when we talk of positioning yourself to build wealth, particularly when we talk about things like asset accumulation, the average person will say, well, that is capital intensive. And you're correct. Sometimes it takes money to make money. Sometimes it takes brain to make money. And I'm going to walk you through this because, yes, it takes money to make money, but also it takes brains and negotiation skills to position yourself to build wealth. So I want to put a hypothesis to you. And here is where Pathway strategies will help you to understand what I'm talking about. Pathway on using the right tools and processes and systems is going to position you to be more successful. Now, let's take, for example, that you do not understand financial instruments. Or let us say perhaps you understand financial instruments. I talked earlier about understanding capital markets. The reason you want to understand capital market is not to say that I understand financial instruments. The reason you want to understand this is because you want to go to the next step. You want to know how to access it. Then you want to know how to leverage it in a smart way and how to mitigate capital. We started right here. Because when you know how capital market operates, you don't have the excuse of saying, I don't have access to. Because you now have a body of knowledge that you can now deploy to put yourself in a position of strength to win financially. But let's suppose that you don't have this capital to jumpstart investment in this particular way. What are options that you have available? What strategies can you use right now to position yourself to go after greatness? I'm going to talk about one strategy. So you don't have any money to invest in asset accumulation. You have no money, but you're an expert negotiator. You know how to negotiate. So let's look at this case. You see an opportunity to purchase a property, let us say for $10 million, but you don't have $0. You have $0. What strategies and negotiation skills can you use to accumulate that? Yes, I know many of you are saying it's impossible. It takes money to make money. Yes and no. It takes good negotiation skills. It takes having the right information, the right brain power to position you. And let's talk about this. You don't have $0, but you have negotiation skills and you understand how to position yourself for financial greatness. What can you do? I'm going to try out a concept here that we call collaborative economy. Yes, collaborative economy. And there's also group economics. How does this work? Now, you have an asset that you want to invest in, but you don't have the disposable income. What can you do? You can leverage group economics. And how does this look? Perhaps you can identify 10 persons that is going to invest $150,000 with you. That will give you access to $1.5 million. 500,000 more than the sum that you need because you need 10% to put down on the property. So in your negotiation, you're also saying that in 1 year, you're going to return 100,000 on each $150,000 that you would have accumulated. Now, let us suppose because of your good negotiation skills, you're able to close this negotiation process off in, some might want to say, a month, 2 weeks, a week, a couple of days, because of your skills and your relationships and your connection. Remember, I say relationship here. I say you rise and fall on relationships. If you invest in the right relationship, you can move a process forward faster. Pathway 5 will help you to understand some of that too, but let me stick to the point. So you're able to put 10 persons in the room and you're able to pitch your story to them. Your pitch to them is that they're going to invest $150,000 each, and they're going to get as return on their investment, ROI, $100,000. So you're going to be paying back each person $100,000 on the $150,000 that they invest. So at the end of 1 year, you are now prepared to pay out $2.5 million. So let's look at that and say that's a nice deal. Everybody buy into that. But here, what happens here? You are investing now in owning property, not as a liability, as an asset. Let us suppose that this income producing asset is generating $500,000 per month. Per month. This means that annually, this property is going to be generating approximately $6 million in annual revenue. And you're going to be paying out $2.5 million. You could even pay $3 million. Guess what happens here because of your good negotiation skills? You retain $3 million. Not only that, you retain the ownership of the assets. Not only that, within a year, you may have some asset appreciation. Not only that, you can leverage the excess liquidity into building more wealth. So what I've shown you is that it's a myth when we say it takes money to make money. It takes negotiation skills to make this happen too. Do you have negotiation skills on your side? And what Pathway 5 will do is work with you to ensure that you have this body of knowledge and you know exactly how to leverage it to your advantage. So I'm going to pause here today. There's so much more for us to go into. I've only looked at Pathway 1, and we haven't gone halfway into Pathway 1. But I want to say this is a very exciting program. So if you have a phobia discussing money, and you really want to learn more about money, perhaps this is the program for you, because I know so many people across the world, you see discussing money and wealth as being taboo. I struggle with that. But guess what? I've broken away from that. Now I want to help you to break away from it. But along with breaking away from it, you will have the mentorship, the coaching, the community to support you on your pathway to build wealth. So I trust that you would have enjoyed today's program, Pathway to Wealth, the science, theory, and practice of wealth creation. And yes, on this platform, we train our community to think in terms of science. What is the data saying? Do you have proof of what you're articulating? Do you have the proof? We talk a lot about that. On this platform, we talk about the theory. We go into the theory to help you to understand this theory. It what gives us this scientific results. All right. The theory has been proven and tested. It has worked based on the scientific data. Now that we have the theory right, theory aligned to the scientific data, what is the practice? And I want to talk about this because some of the things that we see is that many persons, and I want to say this, I do know for a fact that everyone perhaps more than 99.9% of the global population, you have a great idea that can position you for greatness. You don't have a problem with great ideas that can position you for financial independence. I know for a fact you have these ideas, but it's only a theory. And guess what? You don't dwell enough on the practice of your concept and your idea. And because you are not nurtured to apply the principles, to practice your concept, it never becomes real. It takes the data, the scientific proof. It takes understanding the theory, the processes. It takes practicing day in and day out. And that's what's going to set you up for success. So Pathway 5 is that exceptional platform. And the Science of Success University is that unique platform that really helps you to get comfortable with science, the data, that really helps you to get comfortable with the theory, proven steps. For all that we are sharing with you are systems that we have used. We now built it now into these programs. And you will now be exposed to a team of people that will mentor, that will coach you, that will sponsor you. You'll be a part of a supportive community that are there cheering you on to come into greatness. The beauty about this program is that whether you're a rising star in business, it relates to you. If you're an academic, it relates to you. If you're the average person who wants to achieve greatness, it relates to you. So you owe it to yourself to take the time out, get in touch with our community, and be part of this significant initiative, Pathway 5. So with that being said, I want to thank our community who have been viewing this program from across the world over the last 4 months. We have about 40,000+ persons who have supported this platform. I want to thank you from the depths of my heart. We are reaching over 50 countries with this content. Kudos to you. Thanks for the support. And I also want to encourage those persons who are viewing the program who have not yet subscribed to this program to do so. We have a lot of great programs that are going to be coming up very soon, and we want you to be the first to benefit from those programs. So with that being said, it's Saturday, and I want to encourage you to have a great weekend. Remember, take some time out, develop your gratitude board, take some time out, and focus on your future wealth building process. All right? Take your life into your hands, mold it and shape it, and ensure that you can truly optimize your success. And always remember that Pathway 5 is definitely here to point you in the right direction. Now, in conclusion, I want to leave you with some nuggets. Myself and my son, only today, we were discussing money, and we were looking at money from a few different standpoints. One, we say money is the puppet master. What exactly do I mean by that? You know, people can do some very funny things just for money. And when you find yourself doing funny things just for money, money is the master and you are the puppet. And that's a very deep, way of looking at it, but you need to look at it in this way. The reverse to this is that when you understand financial intelligence, and Pathway 5 will help you to understand that, the only puppet in the room is money. Because you now know how to leverage capital to your advantage. You know how to leverage capital, so whether you wake or you're asleep, you're making money, because money is your puppet. Money don't care. Money does whatever you tell it to do. It should never be the other way around, where you are doing weird things just for money. So we're going to go deep into this. All right. Now, in conclusion, I want to say this. You work to earn. You earn to save. You save to invest. You invest to build wealth. Is this what your life is looking like? Because if you're working and all you're seeing is paycheck to paycheck, something is wrong. And Pathway 5 can support you with this. Let me go back to this. You work to earn. You earn to save. You save to invest. You invest to build wealth. Is this your reality? If not, and you want to learn how to position yourself to do this, I encourage you to get in touch with Pathway 5. Get in touch with us. We'll be so happy to work with you and give you the support that you need to achieve your objective. My name is Gary Thompson. It has been a pleasure being with you today, and I look forward to doing this with you again on Monday. Be blessed, and see you in the next broadcast.